All right, we're going to just launch right into our next panel. And we have our next panel sponsored by Kigo, and we have welcoming into the panel are our two Kigo reps. They are the CEO, Peter Schultze, the president and co-founder, Ben Straley. And at Kigo, they are a company that trailblazes a new era of open loyalty defined by shareable experiences, ownable digital assets, and cross-brand collaborations. They were with us last fall, too, and they have so much deep insight into blockchain and open loyalty. They're going to really dig in for us. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. Waiting on a presentation being flipped up here. Well, great to meet you all, and thanks for having us. My name is Peter Schultze. I am the CEO of Kigo. Give a quick background on myself. I'll pass it over to Ben. We are here today to talk about open loyalty, what we're calling open loyalty, this idea of expanding and enhancing rewards programs through blockchain and digital assets. So my background, I spent the last 2 years at a company called Agio, working with brands around introducing crypto loyalty and crypto rewards. Prior to that, spent a few years as an entrepreneur building out a wellness rewards platform and a marketing technology company prior to Kigo. I'll pass it over to Ben for a quick introduction as well.
Thanks, Peter. Great to be here and see all of you. Ben Straley, I'm a 3-time startup CEO, and while not doing startup stuff, I was the VP of Global Digital Products at Starbucks, rolled out mobile ordering, a lot of the personalization and rewards experience in the app and across the digital touch points of the Starbucks ecosystem, and then also led Today's Deals and the world and outbound marketing at Amazon as well.
Awesome. So real quick on who we are. So Kigo is a blockchain technology company aimed at expanding and enhancing existing customer loyalty and employee engagement platforms for millions of people around the world. We were co-founded by Agio, which today is a global leader in loyalty and engagement technology, currently servicing more than 70 plus Fortune 500 brands. And so we've had the great opportunity to have conversations with these brands over the past, really 2 years and understanding, the possibilities and the potential for the intersection of blockchain and digital assets and the world of loyalty. So really excited to dive in today. I'll pass it over to Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. One of the things that when Peter and I started talking about the vision for Kigo and what the possibilities were in the space, we really kept coming back to this core idea that loyalty today is a really big business. Having spent some time at Starbucks, I think last year, Starbucks announced that over half of all orders in the United States and their stores are coming through loyalty programs and loyalty membership. Also, just having seen firsthand the ability and the power of well-constructed loyalty programs to activate your customer base. I think Stephen talked about this earlier, that there is no more valuable asset to a marketer than first-party data that they can use to activate customers. Loyalty programs do this. Almost $50 billion in rewards and miles issued annually, 3.8 billion loyalty memberships. That's about 11 loyalty memberships per person in the United States, pretty staggering. And each of us, on average, collect about $150 worth of loyalty points and miles per year. But there's another side to the story.
Exactly, and one of the things that has been proven time and time again is that these loyalty programs, they really work. There's a reason that $50 billion of points are issued on an annual basis, because loyalty programs help retain existing customers and increase the lifetime value of customer relationships. But we see a tremendous amount of untapped potential. You've got $16 billion of points that go unredeemed on an annual basis. And if you think about, when is the last time you engaged with a rewards program and you thought to yourself, wow, that was a really cool and engaging experience? We think there's a ton of opportunity for more personalization, more creative and memorable experiences that involve, that go from single player to multiplayer and involve the people around you. And that's what we're really here to talk about today. You think about the dozens of loyalty programs that I'm a part of, and what drives me crazy is like I know I'm a part of programs that I've got rewards sitting out there that I'm just not using or engaging with. And so really what we're all focused on doing is helping make existing programs more engaging and expanding to more people. And we think blockchain can be a really can be an enabler for the next generation of loyalty.
Yeah, one of the things that we sat around at Starbucks and talked a lot about, and this was a few years ago, was this idea of stars as currency. So if you are members of the Starbucks loyalty program, you earn stars each time you make a purchase in the store. And we wrestled with this idea because we knew customers would love to have more control, more ownership, be more empowered in the program if they could do more things with these rewards. But we sat around and we couldn't figure out a technical solution to this that would really work at Starbucks scale. We actually ended up activating a Spotify program at one point, and that effort took about 9 or 10 months from sort of initial planning to launch. And so these ideas of how can we use technology to expand and open up programs are there, but the technology challenges have been really significant for a lot of brands. We'll enter blockchain, and what blockchain allows for is a very simple, seamless way for consumers to own and control assets in a way that allows for those sorts of collaborations and a more open experience with the loyalty program to happen. And so what we are involved in and what we're here to talk with all of you about is how to take blockchain technology and use it to activate and open up loyalty programs in ways that are going to drive the kind of engagement and incremental lift that loyalty programs are great for.
So enter what we call open loyalty. So what is open loyalty? It is really this idea of taking an existing program and expanding and enhancing it by leveraging blockchain and digital assets. It's this idea of expanding from a program that is closed and one-to-one to something that's more open and shareable, that really allows you to share experiences with more people in more ways. There's really 3 pillars that we see when it comes to open loyalty. One is ownable digital assets. We think that digital assets bring more personalization, more opportunities for portability across brands, and more ownership in putting the consumer in the driver's seat of their experiences, which we're continuing to see play out in the marketplace. Number 2 is this idea of shareable rewards. In other words, being able to share and extend the benefits that you're earning as a consumer with the people you care about. Essentially inviting more people to participate in programs in more ways. And then the third piece is collaboration across brands. Brand collaborations are obviously nothing new, but as Ben talked about in the Starbucks and Spotify partnership a few years ago, we're talking about months of planning, expensive engineering bandwidth to pull these pieces together. Now think about trying to do that at scale with potentially several brand partners. What blockchain does is it essentially eliminates the technical barriers of these partnerships and moves them from execution challenges to business development challenges. In other words, partnering with other brands and inviting them into your program becomes a partnership construct, with blockchain essentially removing technical barriers.
Yeah, and so at the core of this idea of open loyalty are what we're referring to as digital assets. If you're familiar with NFTs, we like the term digital asset a little bit more because when people think of NFTs, they think about the technology, they think about speculation, they think about a lot of the things that have sort of taken over the perception and understanding of what is possible in this space. But when you talk about those things in terms of digital assets, it's easier to talk about the benefits to consumers and participants in loyalty programs that involve ownership. So really being able to take ownership of that reward or that point that you've earned through the program. using these digital assets to unlock experiences online and offline in the real world. And again, digital assets that you own and control. And digital assets, as Peter mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about this and provide some examples, digital assets that you can actually share and trade. For the first time, we see this future emerging and unfolding in front of us that is really about empowering consumers to take ownership and control of their experiences in ways that are much more aligned with some of the things that we heard about in the previous panel around the empowered consumer, particularly how younger demographics are really embracing and engaging technologies that give them more control over their experience. We think digital assets and open loyalty are sort of the key to that future for loyalty marketing and workplace engagement programs as well.
So one of the things that occurred to me over dozens and dozens of conversations with brands over the last 2 years at Agio. So Agio today runs consumer loyalty and workplace engagement for hundreds of brands, and we were as we were building out a crypto loyalty offering and having dozens of conversations with these brands, started to realize the greater potential of blockchain and digital assets in the world of loyalty. We saw a ton of untapped potential in literally the billions of dollars of points that were not being redeemed on an annual basis. And at the same time, you've got consumers that are interested in experiencing and trying out digital assets, essentially dipping their toes into the water into this entirely new ecosystem. Well, the thing that we realize is that on the one side, you've got all these points, and on the other side, you've got consumers that are interested in the digital asset sector. Well, points can be an extremely sort of easy and low-stakes entry point for both brands as well as their consumers into the world of digital assets. In a way that, one of the things we talk about and we talk about with brands is that, a lot of these loyalty and engagement programs are working. They really are, but there's a lot of untapped potential. And so we don't think that going in with an approach that disrupts or tears up their existing program is the right approach. In fact, we think that the reason points redemption is so interesting is that it's a way to add to and expand on existing programs in a way that delivers more engaging and memorable experiences for consumers.
And Peter, can I just jump in for once? Oh, this not a bad segue, but one of the common themes and questions that I've been asked many times about loyalty programs is people want to understand the role that breakage in these programs really plays in the business model. Breakage is just another word for unredeemed value on the platform. And one of the common misconceptions, I think, is that a lot of these programs benefit from breakage because it's essentially rewards that you don't have to actually provide compensation for. But the most enlightened and most brands that are investing in this space see breakage, see the unredeemed balance at the end of the year as a failure of the program to really realize the full potential and really realize the desire that their customers have in participating in the program to the fullest extent. So as Peter said, we think there is this really interesting and exciting marriage between new technology, Web3, blockchain, to solve that problem for brands and for consumers, to bring that unredeemed balance down to as close to zero as possible through greater engagement and greater participation in these programs. And so we are very excited about what Web3 and blockchain is really enabling and will allow brands to do for their consumers and consumers to do for themselves in this new era of open loyalty.
So where we're starting for brands, again, we continue to get asked by brands, where do we start? And where we see brands starting is by creating an entirely new category of rewards within their existing programs. So you think about today being able to earn points and redeem for physical merchandise, gift cards, digital experiences, travel in some cases. Well, what we're suggesting is building out, and what we're doing today is building out a brand new redemption category for all things digital assets. So imagine taking your points and being able to redeem for a digital sports card from your favorite sports team, or an access pass, an exclusive access pass to your favorite concert, or even some digital content from your favorite Netflix series. We see this as a great opportunity to bring together the best of the world of digital assets in a redemption experience for consumers in a way that's additive to existing programs, that's curated based on your brand's audience, and that's ultimately a brand-safe environment. And what we're even potentially more excited about is actually empowering brands to create their own digital assets and digital asset experiences and distribute them through this vehicle because it activates their loyalty program members.
Yeah, and we will we'll have a little more to share on that in a couple of minutes. I can't stress it enough, but what Peter was saying in terms of the ability to sort of introduce this into existing programs. So your consumers, if you are running a loyalty program today, are aware of those kind of core benefits to the program. Adding a wide variety of these new experiences and new digital assets is a huge opportunity, again, to drive more of that increased engagement and redemption activity that makes these programs so successful.
And one of the things we love about digital assets is after a customer redeems for one of these things, they can collect it, they can build a collection, they can share it, they can trade it, they can join the community behind it. There's an additional layer of engagement that happens beyond the initial redemption, as well as the digital asset becoming a new communication channel between your brand and the consumer, which we'll talk about more in a little bit here. But we also wanted to tee up a concept that is resonating with brands, and it's around converting existing rewards into shareable digital assets, which Ben will talk about a little bit.
Yeah, so as we started to look at this opportunity for the introduction of digital assets into a loyalty experience, one, we got really excited about providing this new class of digital assets, and then it also became clear that this technology and the opportunity for digital assets could work in the other direction. And what that looks like is taking existing loyalty rewards and converting those or transforming those into digital assets that then live and are represented on a blockchain and can be shared and traded in similar ways or in exactly the same way that you could share or trade any other digital asset. And so this is an example of that sort of an experience where customer earns points and redeems those points for AirPods, and then can choose to either claim those AirPods and have them shipped directly to themselves, or to turn that those AirPods into a digital asset, and then to be able to share that digital asset with friends, family, or even trade with others. And if you think about the impact of that both on the consumer experience, giving consumers a choice, and what that unlocks in terms of their affinity for the brand, but also the impact of that consumer sharing those AirPods with a friend and attributing those AirPods to the brand, you've now got the potential to have two customers where you had one before, all through this simple step of converting real rewards into digital assets.
Think about it in the way of, you now have the ability to extend the benefits that you've earned as a consumer to the people that you care about most. And another example that has often put this into perspective for folks is, imagine you're a gold medallion member with a major airline and you earn a free seat upgrade. Today, you and only you can use that benefit. But in blockchain world, you can actually extend or share that benefit with somebody you care about. The airline loves this because now, because it's built on blockchain, they've just reached a new potential customer, and it's trackable and attributable back to the brand. And so they've turned a retention program into a customer referral engine. And that's what we think can be so powerful about this idea of shareable rewards, is literally extending this concept and this capability to every type of reward that's being issued to customers and redeemed today. Whether it's a gift card, or it's merchandise, or it's experiences, or travel, or social good, essentially wrapping these experiences in a shareable digital asset allows your brand to reach new customers in that way. For consumers, again, this is a great way to extend benefits to the people you care about. It's a way to turn dormant rewards into moments that are memorable. And it's also, an ability to share the love with people you care about. In other words, if I've earned a free seat upgrade, I can share it with somebody I care about and deliver a delightful moment to them through benefits that I've earned. And then on the brand side, again, this is an amazing new customer acquisition tool that expands an existing program that's centered around loyalty and retention into a referral engine. It also allows brands to identify their customers that are most likely to share. In other words, if I'm a brand and I see, I've got a super fan that's sharing their rewards to dozens of people, I might want to amplify them as a brand advocate and encourage them to share more and welcome more people into my brand's universe. And then the last piece is that, we talk about this concept of gift wrapping. In other words, if I'm, going back to Ben's example, if I'm redeeming and I've redeemed for some AirPods, imagine if I could gift wrap that NFT or that digital asset, customize it, add my own artwork, and literally send it to a family member as a gift. So you've now turned a reward into a giftable moment that's memorable for everybody involved. And it's this new form of loyalty that hasn't been possible until blockchain came around. So we've got one more concept that Ben's going to tee up.
Yeah, so I hope it's becoming clear that as these new opportunities sort of get layered one upon another, the introduction of digital assets into the exact same loyalty program that consumers had yesterday, today, unlocking these new opportunities to share and trade, not just the digital assets, but any reward in the program. The next big opportunity in that environment is the ability to create, for brands, to create very exclusive, targeted, personalized rewards and experiences at scale. And we can show you an example or a few examples of what that looks like. One of the things that's really hard that a lot of brands with loyalty programs are struggling with today is how do you create unique experiences? How do you create differentiated experiences for your consumers? Because a lot of these programs, I think the fact that Americans have 11 on average, are members of 11 on average, sort of speaks to this. They're not always very differentiated and they don't always stand out. We see this opportunity to create new rewards that are unique, shareable, exclusive, as being really central to enabling a program to stand out with all of the benefits of digital assets. Some of the examples that we've talked with a number of brands about are things like that wouldn't necessarily even occur to you right off the bat that you could turn into a digital reward. So many brands sponsor athletic events or have tickets to events. Turn those into one-of-one unique digital assets that can be earned by members of a program. Merchandise, experiences, and so forth. This technology, this notion of open loyalty, really opens up those kinds of possibilities where, from a loyalty member's perspective, now not only can I use my points for the kind of typical, more standard things, I can also hold my points for that moment when there is truly something special and unique available in exchange for my loyalty.
We've talked to a bunch of brands that have assets, physical or digital assets that they want to issue to their customers, whether it's tickets to an event or it's physical products, or maybe they're holding an exclusive brand collab and they're dropping a new product on their website. The thing about digital assets is they're almost the ideal delivery vehicle for these types of experiences because it allows brands to essentially distribute one-of-one unique digital assets that wrap high-value offer content or experiences that customers can access and trade. It reduces the risk of fraud in the case of issuing high-value rewards. You don't have the issue around somebody duplicating or replicating the reward because it's verifiably one-of-one. And you can do all sorts of interesting things, whether it's issuing access to a suite at a sporting event or allowing 1,000 customers and only 1,000 customers exclusive access to a product drop, and that access pass is an NFT that they can use themselves or they can share or trade with other people, and the brand has insight into who they're sharing and trading with to expand the impact of their addressable audience. And so we really think this is a unique proposition in that when you think about brands doing NFTs today, a lot of it's centered around collectibles and art. which we think is meaningful, but there's this huge untapped opportunity to essentially turn existing assets that the brands already have into tradable, shareable, redeemable digital assets. And so these are the things we're doing and delivering for brands at Kigo. We would love to talk to anybody interested in brainstorming or helping you build a strategy, but really to pull this together around what truly is open loyalty. It's this idea of expanding existing programs from one-to-one experiences or closed experiences to experiences that are more open and shareable, that invite more people to participate in more ways, and delivering the level of sort of personalization and interesting relevance that people expect today. And that's really what open loyalty is. So last thing I'll mention is that we are offering free strategy sessions to anybody interested in sort of a non-intimidating setting. It's all about you and your brand and figuring out the strategy that helps extend your goals. You can go ahead and scan the QR code if you're interested in setting up a session with us, or meeting up with us after the event or tomorrow. We'd love to chat and have a conversation. And just want to say thanks again to the D2 crew for having us back again this year and being a part of this awesome conversation.
Yeah, thank you all. This is great. Are there any questions?
Hi, thanks for the presentation. So I work for I'm a retail consultant for a retail consulting firm in Toronto. And I was wondering about, because we do a lot of work with smaller retailers, what's the difference in barrier to entry for someone who may not have millions and millions of dollars to throw at a loyalty program?
Are you asking about the barriers to entry to starting a loyalty program, or?
Yeah, the barriers to entry to starting it, but also to running it, just the full implementation, really.
Well, the good news is that there are many vendors out there that provide sort of different levels of scalability and sophistication in terms of the loyalty program functionality. And so, I mean, you could even, looking like at a Square or something like that for really like SMBs and small merchants, Square, Toast, a lot of the point of sale platforms have some very basic loyalty capabilities. A company like Agio, which is the parent of Kigo, they are in the business of sort of solving for a lot of the kinds of technical and strategic questions and challenges that pop up as the enterprise gets a little bit bigger. So my recommendation would be to, depending on the sort of size and vertical that the customers that you serve are in, look at some of the platform providers and what their capabilities are sort of out of the box, and then look for a service provider that can provide sort of direction in terms of strategy and how to go forward with implementing a program. I think where we come in is then augmenting or complementing that sort of core loyalty experience with all of the things that we talked about in this presentation around extending and expanding that program and really differentiating that program in some pretty exciting and meaningful ways with this technology and with open loyalty. Happy to talk more about it after this, though.
Any other questions?
Is there a way to pool points or to pull points from various retailers together into one loyalty program?
That is a great question. It has been something that's been tried by the loyalty industry for many, many years. We believe blockchain is the solve for that because the identity and the points are centered around the user rather than being held in a bunch of siloed private databases. And so like you think about an NFT or a digital asset being a consumer's profile or membership. It allows brands to build and deliver experiences to them versus a bunch of siloed brands delivering one-to-one experiences. And so yes, that's a tremendous opportunity that we think is now made possible by blockchain.
Yeah, just to build on that really quickly, as Peter said, once what we're talking about, one of the core aspects of what we're talking about is the ability, giving consumers the ability to convert points that are specific to a particular program, convert those points into a digital asset that then, as Peter said, sort of lives on this blockchain and is owned by that individual consumer. At that point, the consumer has many more options around what they can do with that digital asset. So that conversion of points for a specific program into digital assets in a blockchain is that moment where those points get converted into something that can be sort of moved and traded and shared in a much more open and flexible way that's controlled by the consumer.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Go see them at
Thank
their
you.
table, chat with them. Make sure you get that free discovery call set up.